And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You can be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. Coming to you from the Spaceship Studios from a galaxy far, far away. Alright, and now I'm going to switch over to the other screen. Alright, so it is I, Alien Spaceship. I hope everybody's been having a good day, good evening, good afternoon, wherever y'all are, and thank you all for joining. Hello, Brig Commander. I was I thought I set it for 7:35, but I actually set it for 7:20. So I got my timing mixed up, but thank you, Brig Commander, for shout out, appreciate it. And all right, so today I was watching trials with and there was a strange trial about the medical things, and with insulin. There was a murder that happened. Now, as I start out, we're going to be going over some things tonight with some trials, some unsolved mysteries, and other news that's going on, the different conspiracy theories. It'll be very cool. Now, what I'll be doing is going this way, and now get right into it. All right, so here's a couple of them to go over. So we have disappearance of Crystal Riesinger, a young mother who vanished from a small spiritually oriented town in Keystone, Colorado in 2016 in the Hello Fifi, welcome to the stream. I did see it today, and I saw them when they were ending it early. And I hear what you're saying. I remember there was a mix up with that in the chat. We will see what the jury decides, how that goes, and sometimes it can be unexpected where people might think she's guilty, but maybe the jury also saw what you saw, where she may not be. The state didn't necessarily prove their case, then she might get off. Because if the evidence has to be there all for the jury to be convinced that she was guilty, and the other part of it, other people say she's either guilty or not guilty, would have to wait to see what the jury decides. And I think it's a good case. The reason why it is because it doesn't seem as black and white as some of the other cases we've seen. So I hear what you're saying, Fifi, and I did see it, and they ended early today. I think the judge, he's definitely, in my opinion, he seems entertaining, and the trial itself it was very interesting to watch the different people come on the stand. And I did see it today. I was later on in the day, I went and saw the insulin trial. Yeah, very gray. Right, exactly. I did see that. The mystery murder trial, that one is a strange case because there was pre-existing conditions. Then was there a murder or not? That is another one that seems up in the air. The boats, I think the speedboat trial, I've been there, but I've not really seen much of that one. So the ones I've been focusing more on is the mystery murder trial and the Corey Richardson one. The Corey Richardson I've been focusing on the most. Yeah. I don't on Monday. I don't know what's going to really be on Monday because some of them don't seem like they're going to be on. But whenever they resume, I'll be glad to see how it goes. Or because there's been times I've watched trials and I thought the jury was saying someone was guilty. Oh, you'll watch it on a weekend. That's good. Yeah, definitely watch it. It seems very mysterious, and yeah, there's been trials where I was very certain that somebody was guilty, and they're actually innocent. or they are. It seems like they're innocent, but they're guilty. The jury can see something different sometimes. Where and you maybe foreshadowing what the jury may also see, where her case wasn't 100% proven, uh, because it's all about. There's a lot of times in a trial, even if they really did it or not, can be irrelevant. If it's how you do the art of speech to really show how you frame an argument, that's another factor too. Oh, real? Oh, really? Really? The reality star was found not guilty by judge. Okay. Okay. Thank you for. I wow. Yeah, I didn't know that. Or I may have known it, but I don't quite recall it on the top of my head. Hello, Brig Commander. Welcome to the stream. This is a friend of mine from another chat, Brig Commander, and I appreciate you. Welcome to chat. And we are talking about some trials that I watch with another group at the moment, and a couple different things. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so Corey tomorrow at 1 p.m. Utah time. No jury till Monday. Okay, thank you for the the info. Oh, hello, Lori, and Lori's from another group about. Uh, she's also from another stream, by the way. And yes, this is my friend Brig Commander. Very cool. We like to look at unsolved mysteries. All right, and summary about the. Let's see, I have a bunch of things here. Is that it? No, that's about Epstein's accountant. Okay. Now, the insolent murder mystery trial for today, going over that. In the second half today, the prosecution continued to build a case against a former registered nurse accused of aggravated murder in. Oh, welcome, Brig Commander, to the Macaroni crew. Welcome. Thank you. All right. In the second half of Utah, save Utah. All right, and Lori said, Ilian, I just had a PT appointment with my new PT person, and he's from Louisiana. Oh, that is so cool that somebody from here was over there. That's awesome that you had that. I'm sure it went well. Very kind people here. So I'm sure it was an interesting conversation. And shout out to your new PT person. Yeah, that is Bubbles. I was in Brig. I was talking to Mighty Tiger about yeah, that's Bubbles, and this is the tinfoil hat emoji. This is Noise, and this is Space Yeti. Yeah, all kinds of stickers. And this is what am I saying is scared. You saw me over a I'll say scared. That's where the scared thing is. That's the scared emoji. So yeah, welcome to the Macaroni crew. All right, so a registered nurse accused of aggravated murder and obstruction of justice in the 2024 death of her friend Casey Lynn Terry. The state's central theory remains that Sunwell manipulated Terry into believing she was terminally ill and administered the fatal dose of insulin to collect the rumored 1.5 million of life insurance. All right, Lloyd says yes, and he has been in Oregon for 7 years, but I picked up on his accent right away. Oh, okay, okay, yeah, the accent. Yeah, there's people that say that I'll have an accent too of some kind. I don't know what it is, but that if people think I'm from Canada, but whatever it is, it is. I am glad to have whatever I have because to other people you'll probably sound different to what you hear on your own. Yeah, noise. Yeah, noise is another one that I say. That is a line that I have and that I say in the chats, and then and shout out to Moki who she was the one that helped come up with these great ideas with the stickers and the tinfoil hat stuff. Yeah, very brilliant. She She was like, I need the stickers. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a good idea. And so I'm sure it went well today for you, Lori, and very fascinating because there's lots of where I am. It's very swampy. Now, Lori, where you are, is there swamps where you are, or is it just of like forests? Oh, okay. Thank you, Lori. Thank you. And I was on a call-in show on another stream. I'm on streams all over YouTube everywhere, and I was on a podcast, and somebody was in the chat saying, "Alien, you are you from Canada?" I'm like, "No, but thank you." I mean, technically, my great grandfather was from Canada. But he went to England, and then he was in World War I, and then dad from there came here. So, but yeah, technically, I have Canadian ancestry, but nothing. I've never been to the Canadian country. Oh, you have wetlands in the valley. Okay, good. Very pretty cool. I remember the Vikings during the Viking series, they had some swampland over there in the Scandinavia, and I just didn't really know that, but that was interesting to find out. So some places unexpectedly have swamps, yeah, because there's bayous and swamps. So where I am specifically, it used to be like a beach, and there is like marshland and sand, but they drained it all out. Okay, they drained it all out, and they put a bunch of coffee grinds and shells and bottles, and they filled it up, and they built houses on them. I'd say over 100 years ago. So that was an interesting innovation for that time that they're able to do. But yeah, it's all below sea levels, all marshland, and human innovation is quite fascinating. And there is all unsolved mysteries in my city. There is the axe killer, and people think it may have had to have done with the mafia because he deleted Italian people, but they don't really know who it was. It was like a serial killer, but it was probably like a hitman. I wonder if Robert Stack has done an episode on that. I don't know if he did or not, but shout out to him. He was brilliant. But yeah, that is. So there's definitely. Oh, there's like the casket girls, where these girls, the women from Europe that were sent here, they had these coffin-looking caskets, and they thought there were vampires inside of them. So was that the jazz guy? Okay, there was some of the mystery. It wasn't the jazz guy. That was a separate case. But yeah, there were some unsolved mysteries from the state that we saw, especially that politician. There was a politician who was murdered here. A separate case than a jazz guy, I think. But it was one where, separate from the Axeman and the jazz guy, there is Huey Long. There was that one. The jazz guy was a separate case, and then there's the Axeman. So I don't think that it was the Axeman, but was the jazz guy. I don't think they were the same thing, but it could have been. It's possible they may have been linked. I just don't quite recall which time period was when. Yeah, scared. And or he says, and deflation plains in the coast, marshes and slots pronounced okay, sloughs are marshy areas between creeks and ocean bays. Ah, okay, okay, that is good to know because I'm sure they have something like this, but I don't know what they have up there. So yeah, okay, thank you. And yeah, scared again. Okay, let's see. The axe killer mystery. Let's see. I'm looking up this mystery here. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I may, you know what, Brig, I may have Commander. I may have missed that episode, or I've seen so many of them, I could have just went over my head. So let's see about this one. You speak of right here. They might be. It might be the same one then. Maybe the same one. Let's see. I may have not have. I may have missed that one. Okay. Yes. Okay. So I'll explain. You're actually right, Commander. Then okay, Robert Stack did cover it. Then okay, the Unsolved Mysteries covered it. Okay, so I'll explain the whole thing. So in March 1919, a letter supposedly from the Axeman was sent to the Times-Picayune declaring his love for jazz and making a terrifying proposition. The letter claimed that at 12:15 a.m. the following Tuesday night at St. Joseph's Eve, the killer would pass over the city. He promised that anyone whose home featured a jazz band in full swing would be spared, but anyone who did not jazz it would get the axe. All right. On 1919, March 18, the entire city responded. Dance halls and clubs were packed to capacity. Private homes hosted amateur bands and blared records. No murders occurred that night. Many historians believe the letter wasn't actually from the killer. A popular theory suggests that it was publicly stunt by the local composer Joseph John Davila. Now, we've seen some mysteries, Commander, where there are so many people where they'll have like a fake person that comes around pretending to be the killer, but they really aren't. We've seen that in a couple of the episodes. So it is a mystery if it really was the Axeman or not. But, you know, it was better to be safe than sorry. The people at the time thought. And who was released a song titled The Mystery Axeman's Jazz, Don't Scare Me, Papa, immediately after the event. So that is the same one you're speaking of. I was mistaken. Okay. To give a summary about what that mystery was about was, yeah, Mystery of the Axeman of New Orleans refers to the series of brutal serial bleeding killings that terrorized the city between May 1918 and October 1919. Yes, it gave everyone an excuse to party and get drunk. In October 1919, despite numerous investigations and high-profile letter allegedly from the killer, the Axeman was never identified or caught, and the case remains America's most famous unsolved mysteries. All right, so there is a wax museum, and it was so cool, the wax museum. They would have all these different things from history, and it looked very real and very creepy. And they would talk about these things. The wax museum isn't there anymore. They made it into a bunch of, you know, condominiums that they don't do what they used to anymore. But they talked about this. Yeah. There were victims. The killer primarily targeted Italian immigrants and Italian American grocers, their families, and there were roughly a dozen victims in total, with at least 6 confirmed fatalities. The modus operandi. The assailant typically entered homes at night by chiseling out a wooden panel from a back door. Most victims were attacked while they slept using axes or hatchets, often those found in victims' own properties. All right, so that is the and there's theories of different suspects because usually, you know, the mafia was very rampant, and that they may have been using it to do hits on people. That's why the Italian victims, there was suspicion about that. All right, so there is Joseph Mumfree, the most prominent suspect. Mumfree was the career criminal who alleged ties to the Black Hand early mafia in 1920. The widow of the last victim of Mike Pepitone reportedly shot Mumfree dead in Los Angeles, claiming he was the killer. However, historical records of the incident are scarce, and some researchers considered it an urban legend. I agree with you, Brig. It's very creepy, and where in my at night, it looks like a horror movie's about to happen. It really does. It's especially when the moon's coming out the trees, and it looks like it's kind of spooky looking. So where I am, but yeah, definitely lock your doors and windows because see, back in the my grandparents were growing up, it was a utopia. I mean, kids could go to movie theaters at nighttime wearing all kinds of outfits or whatever. They weren't being harassed or targeted. There were So, but later on, it got worse and worse. So, yeah, definitely lock your doors and windows, and everybody, be careful. There's, anybody could be anywhere. It's definitely creepy. Now, one of the unsolved mysteries that I thought was really creepy was about the ghost woman that was by the street at night that the dude took to the nightclub. Because the first part of it is like a couple is driving down the road and they see a woman with a black void face. That doesn't really sound like a nice thing to see. And she was very cold to the touch. So whatever's out there, yeah, and that's why I'm religious. I think that it is good to seek protection from, my opinion, God, although bad things still happen to people. And also God helps those that helps themselves. And with all of that, and fingers crossed, hopefully everything's okay. But yeah, definitely do that, because anything can happen to anybody anywhere. Oh, stop. Kidding, yeah. So that is what I see, especially, and I was into true crime, and some of the people I know look at active trials that are happening now. Yeah, I know, Lori. They showed it in the Robert Stack was talking about it in his show, and it just shows you like a light and a woman walking with just a void. I'm like, hey, the ghost. Some of them people think the ghosts are demonic or something. It's like, yeah, that's something I don't want to see at night. Just a woman with a black void just walking. That's something I don't want to see. I'm cool. I don't know. It's not the best omen to look at. But then she transforms into a beautiful woman, and she was cold to the touch, and then she just vanishes out of nowhere. It's like, and the dude's like, where'd she go? And Mindy, Mindy's on the channel, Commander. She's more on the earlier streams. She usually is sleeping around this time. But yeah, she was, we were talking about it, and that definitely could have been something demonic, or they'll take the form of somebody that isn't really who they say they are. Because for my faith, it says attest the spirit. I'm sure there are good spirits and people that may have died, but there's also, evil things that are deceptive. So I definitely believe in supernatural, that there's something supernatural, and I also believe in logical scientific explanations too. I believe in both. Because, there's just some things that can't be explained, and I do think there are evil people out there. And I remember when I was learning about like Ted Bundy and those type of serial killers, that's really not nice what some people can do. So yeah, definitely be careful in day or night. And these days, I think people are getting worse and worse. So the point here is that we know ourselves and we know the enemy, right? And we'll do what we can to learn from our lessons and lessons of others and be as safe as possible. Oh yes, Criminal Minds series is very good. I watched that. My grandpa loves watching that, and I liked watching it too. So it's definitely they'll say that the saying goes that truth is stranger than fiction. Now I like Harry Potter and those fantasy stories, but I will say that there are real things out there that happen where it's pretty far out there. There is a case from last year, Chad Daybell, and doesn't mean all people in the Latter Saints Day or Mormon Church are bad, but because there's all kinds of weirdos in all kinds of different religions all over the place. So religious or not, he was a eccentric faction. He made his own religion out of Latter-day Saints, and the church excommunicated him. He believed he was a prophet that succeeded Joseph Smith, and that they had to do this murder. Yeah, real stories can be so bizarre. I agree. And Chad Daybell, he deleted his wife Tammy, and also the two kids. Rest in peace to them. And he had a new wife, Lori, and that they believed themselves as gods, and they would there was going to be an apocalypse that happened, and that they were able to tell there was good, someone was dark or light. So if they thought someone was dark, they would delete them. It's like, so if I'm going to stay away from that person, because if they think I'm dark, I'm going to be out of here. So they both had their trials last year and the year before, and they were just some real freaky people, and they were excommunicated from that church, and they both were, locked up for Chad Daybell got the death penalty, and I believe she got life sentence. And she was but smarty pants to the judge a lot, and Chad Daybell was just really disturbing. Of and he had a creepy look on his face all the time. He's just too calm. Some of these killers are just too calm. All right, they don't, especially that talk about there's something going on somewhere. I guess we'll know about that at some point, whatever that's about. Anyway, so it's a crazy world, right? So we were seeing that, and he was talking about how he would see Tammy, the wife he killed, and that she was in heaven and communicating with him. That's not really what she was. And the reason why he killed the wife is he wanted the insurance policy, he wanted to get rid of her, and he wanted to go with this other woman. But he created this religious stuff as a stupid voodoo stuff to make an excuse and do some brainwashing, create a diversion. Because there are people like Jim Jones and Charles Manson. And there's people that could use religion, for something bad. Like, I believe in God, I believe in religion. But, even Jesus talked about there's wolves in sheep's clothing and false prophets. Like, you could say this imaginary friend in my head, right? The sock puppet. And the sky told me this and that, and we have to go do all this weird stuff, right? And people are religious will be deceived in believing that. But it's just something I just made up in my head. Like this, this little sock puppet told me something. Or I believe there's demonic spirits or evil spirits that could trick people into things. Yeah, they finally found me. The cops found the alien hideout. They caught me red-handed. Scared. They must have known about me on the... I was not on the murder aisle with any of my ladies. That's not true. We were just in the UFO having a party food. So those cops are the wrong house. Right. And, hello, Saw Girl. Nice to see you tonight. Yeah, Chad Daybell is that Lori were really creepy people. Really creepy. Yeah. And Saw Girl, this is my friend Commander from another stream. He came to chill with us. And thank you for being here, Saw Girl. So, yes, this guy knows too much, right? Right. And Lori says, Mindhunter set 1970s FBI agents basically set groundwork for psychological profiting criminals, right? Okay, and let's see. Rise. Let's go here. Okay, so and give you all just a crash course on Chad Daybell for everybody. Okay, so Chad Daybell is a self-published author and former cemetery sextician from Idaho who became a center of high-profile triple murder case involving his second wife, Lori Vallow Daybell. Before his criminal involvement, he was known within fringe religious circles for writing doomsday-themed fiction and claiming to have near-death experiences that granted him prophetic visions. Prosecutors argue Daybell used these radical beliefs to manipulate others to justify series of killings, amid at removing obstacles to his wife, Lori Vallow. Oh, Saw Girl, absolutely. I love puzzles, so that is awesome. When I was little, there was something I was really sick with bronchitis a few times. Oh, that's nice, Lori. Facts. And they were trying to get me into things I don't know, for stimulation or some activities for me to do while I was sick. There was one point where I was sick for like a couple of weeks. I don't know. I felt like I was on death's door, I guess. And there was this terrible medicine I had to take. It was because I didn't want to take a pill. And man, it was the most horrible tasting thing ever. I mean, I'd rather just, and I didn't want to be disciplined. I was a kid that wanted to be a kid. Then they put some stuff with it, some grape to make it taste better, but it actually tasted worse. Yeah, it was not nice. And I threw up one time from it. I had enough of it. I was like, I don't want to eat this. I don't want this anymore. And I got better. I think my body was like, okay, let's just cut the slack and get better. Yeah, and I got puzzles. When I was a kid, I played with puzzles. When I was really little, And then I got into puzzles again when I was sick. So, and I remember there was like an old fashioned store. This is back in the 2000, like 20 years ago. Yeah, it was like 21 years ago, something like that. And there was this kind of old timey looking store, and they got some puzzle pieces, and I got some other games, and that was pretty cool. So yeah, the puzzles are nice. You know what I did? Another, which you all would know what I did because I'm about to tell you, because I didn't tell this group about this before. So anyway, I built a model Titanic. It was back in 2015. I remember there were some like gunshots out in the distance somewhere, and sometimes when it's really bad, I'd go inside, and it was like at nighttime, and I'm getting myself off topic. Yes, Chad Daybell and Laura Daybell, and I was with the Titanic, and I put it together in one night, and it was pretty easy to put together. But I was like, wow, I put it together. So that was like a puzzle piece to me. Those are just some fun facts about my experience with puzzles and with the Titanic, or the Titanic model. Okay, so now we're going to. I didn't use tweezers. I just used my hands, but I should have used tweezers for parts of it. But anyway, back to Chad Daybell. So the case gained national attention. Yeah. But you know what I did with the Titanic? I put it on wrong. I put the front part where the window is wrong, and so it would look goofy if it was on a real ship. But I don't know. At the time, I thought it was the right thing to do, and I just put it together. And there's other parts of it I didn't put on, but this is what my friend told me. My friend Jeremy was telling me, he was like, you gotta use the tweezers, but it went through one ear and out the other because I'm very stubborn. And I was just like, okay, just not gonna, I'm just gonna use my hands. But yeah, tweezers is a good idea. Okay, I was stubborn. It's I was ridiculous sometimes. So yeah, and using the strings, and you kind of like put it all together. So I built whenever I build the second one, I will surely, use the tweezers. But I got it done. It was pretty cool, and y'all will see it. Yeah, definitely we'll see it. And yeah, that just was not in what else. This was not charging. I thought it was, but it's probably not going to be. The wire's a little bit goofy, but maybe it'll work. But okay, okay, maybe it will, maybe it won't. Okay, so yeah, the Titanic is something I certainly was enthused with. Indeed. Now, anyway, the case gained national attention in late 2019 following the disappearance. Oh Lord, yeah. So when I was at the YSL trial, everyone was saying. I remember. Okay, well they had mods over there, but then they took away the mods, and there was this apocalypse that happened, but it was still like a cool chat room. But there was this situation that occurred where the mods were taken away, but her name was Jen Lowe, was one of the mods. She was cool people, and what he okay, I'm not stubborn. Well, thank you, chat. Thank you, chat. I'm glad that I don't come off that way. Anyway, so there was this a time where what I'm doing is showing you all the Titanic thing while I talk to you, but yeah. So we were in the chat, and she was saying "Lord." I know that's something that they say down here, so I was like, okay, that's gonna be a new word I just learned. So I carried it on here. It was during YSL trial. So there's this dude named Woody, and Woody was like, dude was like a Dave Chappelle type comedy stuff, but he was on the stand, and they would ask him how old he is, and he said he's grown. It was during the trial of Young Thug, and that was some crazy stuff. It was funny. So, and that's where Nod comes from, and it's also a South thing. Yeah, so shout out to Alien not being stubborn. I appreciate it. All right, so we're gonna get the chat day bill. Oh, definitely gonna. We're still gonna talk about that. I'm just going to be a little bit ADHD here and show you all something very off topic about the Titanic thing I built. So I had this window already set up for y'all to see, but this is back from 2015. All right, so uh, this was the Titanic model I made. We're going to this window. Okay, chat. This is the Titanic model that I built. I remember the night that I did it. It was 2015, and there was like some pew pews going off in the distance, and I was just like, "All right, time to build a Titanic model." And I got it in 2014 actually, when it was Christmas. So yeah, there you go. That's the Titanic thing right there. I put that together. Oh, thank you, Commander. Yeah, and it was a little bit. You see, like there's parts of it that should have been glued a little bit, and you see like where the ship's part, it should have been a little bit lower, and the alien could have used some tweezers on the the bow, but it is what it is. It was pretty good. What is up with that one? Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, that is okay, Saw Girl. And okay, yeah, that one window. You see, I was being a goofy alien for a moment, and I put it on. You see where I'm gonna actually zoom in. I'm actually gonna do this. Okay. Okay, so you got this right here. So this is where the a blooper happened. All right, so right there, that window part, it was supposed to go lower on the bottom, and then there's a and that's how it was supposed to go, but that was a little bit of a goofy thing I did. But anyway, it was just like a eccentric Timu Titanic. But anyway, it was still but that's what happened. I put it up a little bit too high. It was supposed to go lower. The next one that I do, I'll get it completely right and I'll use tweezers. But anyway, that is the ship. It's besides some of the things could have done a little bit differently, it was pretty cool. Yeah. All right. So thank you, chat, for the love. I appreciate it. All right. And facts, facts. All right. So thanks, chat. That was really cool. I was glad to show you all that. And I remember I would go to the school with the instructions in the Titanic, and I used to because it had an instruction manual. In the instruction manual, oh, thank you, Commander. I appreciate it. Yeah, so in the instruction manual, you had like it showed you like the blueprints of the Titanic, and that was awesome. That I would bring it with me and I would just like study it. So that was awesome. So yeah, Britannic looked just like the Titanic in the Olympic. Now there's conspiracy theories about if Titanic really was sinking or not, and I it seems that the Titanic and the Olympic were very, very different if you looked really close, so they could have been switched. But I will say about something funny is JP Morgan canceled his ticket to not go on the Titanic, and all the people that were against the Federal Reserve, one of them died on the Titanic, so it's a little bit weird. That's a little bit weird to me, but you know, there's conspiracy theories about Titanic that needs to be looked into. But yeah, that was some kind of a little rabbit hole of Titanic for a second. All right, so I'm going back to the Chad Daybell. Okay, so that's why these streams are eclectic. I just go all over the place. All right, so the case gained national attention. The Chad Daybell case gained national attention in late 2019 following the disappearance of Lori's two children, 7-year-old JJ Vallow and 16-year-old Tylee Ryan. For months, Daybell and Vallow refused to disclose the children's whereabouts, eventually fleeing to Hawaii while investigators searched across multiple states. The grim mystery concluded in June 2020 when the children's remains were discovered buried in shallow graves on Daybell's property in Salem, Idaho. All right. In addition, the children's deletion deaths, Daybell was implicated. The suspicious passing of his wife, Tammy Daybell, initially believed to have been died of natural causes in October 2019. Her body was later exhumed from the autopsy. So they went and took her body back up to do an autopsy, but it looked very convincing that it was natural causes. So yeah, this woman murdered her own kids over this weird cult stuff. All right. So initially believed to have caused October 2019. Her body was later exhumed for an autopsy that revealed she had been murdered by asphyxiation. Suspicion intensified because Chad married Lori Vallow just 2 weeks after Tammy's death and had significantly increased Tammy's life insurance coverage shortly before she died. Yeah, so all of that is a bunch of red flags, and definitely somebody that is guilty. All right. During his 2024 trial, evidence revealed that Daybell had developed a complex scoring system to categorize people as light and dark. I told you all that before. And it's like, if you're going to categorize people in light and dark, I mean, that's not good. That's really manipulative and evil. It's like, a dude that's doing all these murders is saying that he's light and everyone else is dark. So that's how you know that there's something not quite right here. Right. He and Lori reportedly believed that those labeled dark were possessed by evil spirits and had become zombies. But he and she were both the zombies. That's actually the truth. So they murdered these kids because they were zombies and they were demonic. But he's the one that was demonic, right? And whose souls could only be freed through the death of their physical bodies. Prosecutors presented this religious extremism as convenient pretext for murders motivated by sex, money, and power. On May 30, 2024, a jury found Chad Daybell guilty. It was 24, okay, of on all counts, including the first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and insurance fraud. On June 1, 2024, he was sentenced to death for the murders of J.J. Tiley and Tammy, while his wife Lori serving life without parole for her role in the Idaho crimes. Daybell remains on death row and Idaho Security Prison Institution, and the case has a mandatory appeals process. So that is who Chad Daybell is. It's a very disturbing one. There's another case that happened last year. Monica Cementelli. She was a woman that murdered her husband, who was a hairdresser, a hairstylist. And he gave her a very nice life and made her very comfortable. And she went with this P-file, a registered, a registered sex offender who was in prawn business too, and she cheated with that guy, and they went and had a trial for her, and she was found guilty of that. So that was another one from last year that was crazy. So yeah, truth is stranger than fiction, right? And so one that I'm reviewing now, I know what is wrong with people. People are completely Temu Sheen cringe. So Temu is something I may have said in chats, and Sheen, it just means like something's like made in China. It's like something's just not right. Yeah, it's kind of cheaply made. Yeah, people are just with their. I didn't know. It's like, what is wrong with this planet? This is why my alien brethren do not come to this planet. It is just extremely sickening what people can do to each other. The people will do all kinds of wrong things with their free will. Right. So a case that I am looking into is the insulin mystery murder trial, Utah versus Megan Sunwall. All right. The second half of this is close to Idaho. It's another state, close to there. Right. Utah and Idaho are close. All right. Day 2 of Utah Megan Sundwall trial. The prosecution continued to build its case against former registered nurse accused of aggravated murder and obstruction of justice. In 2024, the death of her friend Casey Lynn Terry, the state's central theory remained that Sundwall manipulated Terry into believing she was. Oh, you're watching that one too. Okay, nice. Nice. The state central theory remains that Sundwall manipulated Terry into believing she was terminally ill and then administered a fatal dose of insulin to collect a rumored 1.5 million life insurance payout. All right, detailed testimony. During this season, focused on the timeline of the day Terry was found unresponsive. Yeah, nice. Nice. Detailed testimony during this season focused on the timeline of the day Terry was found unresponsive. Prosecutors highlighted that Sundwall, despite her medical training, allegedly watched Terry descend from confusion to a coma for 7 hours without calling 911. Witnesses, including investigators, discussed a critical text message sent by Sundwall on the morning of the incident asking Terry if she wanted promethazine, so she would be asleep when this is happening. Reminds me of the Michael Jackson case where he was given these dosage, given the medication, they eventually put him to sleep, but he didn't wake up. Now, with the conspiracy theories have been going down, it seems that Michael Jackson was trying to expose the Epstein type stuff and save children from that ordeal, and then he was saying that they're going to take him out. So that's a rabbit hole that we've gone down before. But anyway, that's kind of what this reminds me of, but it's something different. Evidence presented in the afternoon season, and also hello Moki, and shout out to Moki. And Moki, this is Commander is a friend of mine from another stream, and he is chilling with us, so shout out to him, and thank you Moki for coming by. Yeah, Moki helped with the ideas with the different emojis, and it's brought many people here, and has done amazing things for the channel. So shout out to her, and shout out to all of you too that are here as well. I appreciate all of you. And now continuing, the evidence presented in the afternoon session also touched upon the discovery of physical items at the scene. First responders testified to finding the diabetic needle and syringe cap in the trash. Despite Terry not being diabetic, the prosecution used this to argue that Sundwall used her professional knowledge to intentionally administer exogenous insulin, knowing it would be lethal in non-diabetic individual. Yeah, and there's questions about this case because there's a medical history prior to this that could have played a role. So that is something else that people, kind of wondering. It's more of a case certainly is mysterious. The defense maintained the stance that Terry's death was a suicide and that their client did not administer the fatal dose. They pointed 1,000 text messages between two women suggest that Terry was the one expressing suicidal ideations, seeking assistance. Defense attorneys argued that evidence does not definitely prove Sundwall injected insulin and suggested Terry may have feigned illness to gain attention and help from her friend. Yeah, definitely a very weird case. A very weird case. And I like the testimonies that I've been seeing. It has been some weird stuff going on outside. Anyway, yeah, I hear some yelling. Anyway, scared. Maybe some unsolved mystery is about to happen. Scared. Anyway, so it's yeah. So anyway, the testimony's been pretty cool to see, but yeah, definitely a very very weird case. And I've been focusing more on okay, I've been focusing on that one and Corey Richardson, both of them. Right. The trial, which is being held in Provo, Utah, also addressed Sudwell's. I know, right? Scared, scared. The trial, which is being held in Provo, Utah, addressed the Sunwell's actions following its death, specifically the deletion of over 900 text messages and her repeated searches for Terry's life insurance policy. Oh, great! Hello, shout out to Eugene. Oh, welcome to the chat, buddy. I've been knowing Eugene for many years, so shout out to him. Eugene Commanders is a friend of mine from another stream that he came to join us. All right. All right. So shout out to all of you. Appreciate y'all lurking and y'all watching the stream with us. Very much appreciate everybody. And gracious greetings to you, buddy. All right. And her repeated searches for Terry's life insurance policy. These details are being used to state the support of the obstruction of justice charge and established a financial motive. And even though it was later discovered insurance policy did not actually exist, right? And yeah, that is very very bizarre case that we've been looking into. Because it's like it's one of these cases that you have more questions than answers. And here, Frog, it is so good to see you, my friend. Welcome to the stream. Glad that you hopped on over. Facts. I see the story that okay, I've not. I want to say that I've seen that before because I've heard of things like that, but I don't know the specific case that you are referring to. So let's dive into that one. Let's. That's something we're gonna dive into. Let's see this. Yes, a Bert farts. Yes, facts. Okay, so here we go. The abducted by dolphins. The story of Bill Morgan, a man who claimed to have been abducted and protected by dolphins, remains one of the most unusual survival stories in maritime lore. They are known to do they're a lot like humans, dolphins, and they're able to protect people and ships from sharks, and they're known to actually have a high sex drive, by the way, and they like humans sometimes. So dolphins are a lot like humans. They have human characteristics. Oh, okay. You sent me something about. Okay, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Moki. Thank you for. Okay, so shout out to you, Moki, for the links and the reels you send me. You have the greatest content to share about all kinds of things. Truly an amazing journalist. Dude. Oh, it's recent. Okay, it's recent. Okay, thank you. And let's do this. Oh, okay. Okay. And oh, hello there, Goose. Welcome to the stream. And let's do this. And going down here. Okay, so Lee County Sheriff's Office, okay, that Florida discovered a man in the Sandbell Castway who is soaking wet and frantically sketching details and blueprints on the sand, according to a post. No. According to the post, the man told authorities he had been kidnapped by a pod of dolphins and forced to work on a secret deep sea construction project. And he was found on the beach and brought to the hospital. Okay. And let's see here. Ah, yes. Yes. Here we go. I got it right here. Thank you, Moki. And let's go here. All right, so chat, we're going to react to something right now. I'm going to do this right here. And let's see how we do this. All right, so in a moment, we're going to show this to chat on the screen. That's what we're going to do. Okay, thank you for the link. Okay, so going to do this. Go. Okay, and then we're going to do this part. Share. And there we go. Facts. All right, Moki, I got it right here. We're going to react to something over this way. We're going to get the window out here. All right, and this is the Titanic that I built, by the way. That's the Titanic I built. The model Titanic. And shout out to the Spaceship Cats. And here we go. And what's this?
Florida man claims to have been kidnapped by dolphins and forced to build an underwater city. The man was found early Monday morning on the side of a beach in Lee County, soaking wet, dehydrated, and confused. When deputies arrived, he was drawing detailed diagrams in the sand. According to the man, a pod of dolphins took him while he was swimming and brought him to a place about 40 feet under the surface. He said they forced him to help build underwater structures. He told deputies the dolphins communicated with him using clicks. He said the group had a leader named Gerald who somehow helped him breathe underwater.
Very fascinating. And dolphins are able to do stuff that a lot of other mammals can't do. And I do like the interesting rabbit holes. So let's continue.
Possibly by creating an airspace. The man spent 3 days working on what he described as cities, towns, and condo-like structures. When the dolphins were satisfied with his work, they sent him back to the surface and told him they would return for phase 2. Medical staff treated him for dehydration, but found no signs of head injury or mental confusion. Tests showed seawater and marine particles in his lungs, suggesting he had been deep underwater for a long time without typical lung damage. This was unusual and raised questions for doctors. The man holds a master's degree in aerospace engineering and has experience with deep-sea technology, which he says is why the dolphins chose him. Some people think the story is false, but the physical evidence has made others curious. Let me know what you think.
All right, so shout out to Loki for that information, and we're going to, yeah, definitely. That is so cool. And we do talk about on this channel about the aliens, and there are certainly things supernatural that are out there, and there are, in my opinion, lots of USOs. So there's UFOs that come from underwater. There's theories that there's underwater bases. And if there's some sort of way dolphins can maybe do more things than we think they could do, or if there's some sort of alien type of species that's able to, somehow recruit him, you never know. That would be, if he really did go to an underwater base, that would be a very big breakthrough in some of these UFO theories that we have. Okay, so chat, I see y'all are here. I do have an open mind, but I'm not saying it was aliens. Oh, okay. Dolphins' fins bend in capacity, but they're out in the ocean. They point straight up. That little tiny bit of fact of dolphins. Those aliens. If you have watched Blackfish, it's worth a watch. Oh yes, yes. Okay, thank you. And Eugene says, I pet dolphins at the Bellamore Aquarium. It was to say it felt slimy, but you could just be underwater. I actually have been abducted by dolphins, lived with the pod for about a year, and had to leave because they didn't want the party. Lori says, I've had a dream where I was in the ocean with a dolphin and it held me like it was safety. Oh, interesting. Okay. And continue. So the sketch detailed blueprints in the sand. According to the Post, man told authorities he had been kidnapped by a pod of dolphins and forced to work on a secret deep sea construction project. All right. Alleging that the dolphins had found a way to help the man breathe underwater for several days while he labored. It even identified a lead dolphin named Gerald, who allegedly communicated through a series of complex clicks to act as a project foreman. The story claimed that the man was arrested for being found in detail that added a layer of false legitimacy, according to the theory. So the experts of these are some, what experts would say is marine biology, animal cognition is steeped in clarifying the impossibility of the claims. The scientist that noted that dolphins of extreme intelligence would not be able to do that, but yeah, yeah, Gerald cracks me up. Yeah, so there you go. The dolphins are having some ambitions underwater. Maybe they're being used by the extraterrestrials for some sort of a mission down there. That would be quite intriguing. All right. Okay, and okay, and bro, we need to go down there and check it out. Where's Zero? We need to refit alien spaceship. Yeah, that is true. Zero was here yesterday, and Zero certainly is going to refit me with everything I need to go down there. And right, Goose says, I thought 7 days in the ocean and you turned into a mermaid. That's what Splash told me. That is also true. That is something that I have seen confirmed. Doesn't mean it always happens that way, but it definitely, in my time, indeed, it certainly could be a thing. Now, Eugene says, Disclosure Day movie, the aliens use clicks and telepathy, at least the trailer makes it. Yeah, that is a movie I recommend everybody go see. That is a good movie. Definitely. Yeah, nice. It definitely looks pretty good. I do think that there is truth to a lot of these paranormal extraterrestrial sightings, and that they're going to, over time, release it, and we do need complete disclosure. All right, Frog says, they taught me to hold my breath for a very long time. I even have had a girlfriend. All right, so in the July 8th disclosure, there's a widely rumor that President Trump will deliver a major UFO disclosure speech on July 8, 2026. This specific date was, we will see, popularized because it's the anniversary of the Roswell incident. There is a directive that allegedly more information on the UFOs are going to be released. And I will be glad to see complete disclosure happening. That is something that I want to see. Indeed. We have, so there's buzz that he may do it on July 8th. We will see. And going this way, another case that happened with So I talked to you all about that case that occurred, the one that Moki just sent me. And another thing that happened with the dolphins was the story of Bill Morgan. It's a man who claimed to have been abducted and protected by dolphins. One of the most in 1991. This is a separate story. More that I saw while searching for this. Morgan was reportedly swept overboard from a vessel off the coast of Australia during a storm, while such an accident is usually fatal. Morgan claimed that instead of drowning, he intercepted by a pod of dolphins that physically supported him and kept him afloat for several hours until rescuers could locate him. Morgan's accounts differs from traditional abduction narratives as described experience as a malevolence intervention rather than a kidnapping. He claimed that the dolphins used their bodies to create a buoyant platform to preventing him from slipping beneath the waves while he also shielding him from potential shark attacks. To Morgan, the animal exhibition, a deliberate, almost conscious intent to save human life phenomenon, often referred to biology interspecies altruism. Frog, did your bubbles make to the surface? Oh yes, quite often the dolphins would swim and play with them. Hilarious. Hilarious. Yeah, the bubbles of Frog certainly is a lifesaver indeed. Lifesaver indeed. Shout out to the new subs and welcome to the channel and to the lurkers and everybody in chat. I appreciate it. All right. Now, while skeptics often attribute such stories to hallucinations brought by hypothermia or near drowning, the scientific community has documented numerous instances of sea oceans protecting humans. Dolphins are known for the high intelligence and social complexity. Researchers have observed them. All right, far out aliens. Hello there. Let's see this. And okay, a group of sea turtles is commonly a bale or a flotilla. That's so to answer your question, far out is a bale or a flotilla. While sea turtles are generously solitary creatures, these terms are used to describe them when they gather for specific reasons. All right, specific collections, nouns are often used depending on whether turtles what they're doing. So a bale, the most common term for a group of turtles, often referring to them when they are on land or gathered in water. A flotilla specifically refers to a group of turtles swimming together in open ocean. Nest, used for a group of turtles sharing the same during laying eggs. All right. Turn and describes of synchronized movements of hatchings as they make their way from nest to ocean. And there's a dole, a DOLE, an older or less common collective use of turtles. So that is to answer your question about what it is called. Thank you for asking. Right, and let's see here. And I think I read that part. Okay, so today Bill Morgan's story is frequently cited along the other famous dolphin rescue accounts, such as 2004 case for lifeguards in New Zealand who were circled by dolphins to protect them from the great white shark. Though Morgan's tale sounds like something out of science fiction, it serves as the cornerstone for those studying the emotional intelligence of maritime mammals. Okay, let's look at some different species of turtles. Turtle species. All right, Frog says I also met a few good-looking mermaids. Who, man, they were fine. That is cool. Yeah, mermaids are some of those beautiful ladies on Earth, definitely. When I was at the Under the Sea, that's a good song. Yeah. So with turtles, one of my friends has a big tortoise. I have a friend from school that has like big turtles. Another one that I know on YouTube that has turtles. Like, they could get really big. Now, I always like to see turtles underwater that they float around and it looks so perfect looking. One of the Windows Vista wallpaper had the turtle wallpaper, so definitely saw that at aquariums and like the IMAX. They would have those very fascinating looking turtles. All right, so these are 7 sea turtle species, and there's land dwelling tortoises and the freshwater turtles. All right, so here are 7 of them. All right, there is the leatherback, the largest of all turtles, reaching up to 6 feet long. And this is the only species without hard, bony shell instead of having a thick, leathery skin. Okay, and going this way and putting that screen. Put this here for everybody to see this. That turtle looks like Bowser. Y'all can see it. All right, and put myself over this way. Yeah, that turtle looks like Bowser from the Mario games. Okay. Okay, and one of our cats was chilling with a turtle in the shade one summer. Where did it come from? It came from Florida. That's where it came from. It took, and your cat was in Florida too. They were having a party, and then they came back, sort of like Perry the Platypus. It was this. Phineas and Ferb was a TV show I watched growing up, and that was where they were. It's because Perry the Platypus was able to have like a career as a spy, but he would come back as a regular pet. So that's what your cat has a international network of partiers. Hilarious, Eugene. And the green sea turtle, named for the green color of its internal fat, not its shell. It's primarily pervious as an adult. All right, and the green sea turtle is the one that's one of my favorites, because right here you could see all over this is like the wallpaper they would use. It was such an enchanting wallpaper. I mean, it shows the beauty of the ocean, because like when you're at a beach or you're watching like the aquarium or something like that, it really just gives you the feeling of being there, because it's the sand. Anakin Skywalker hates sand, but that's his problem. But anyway, the sand that is there, you could see the tiny little spectacles. Looks like glass and diamonds. It's really intricate. So that's what these turtles remind me of. And I'd say Finding Nemo turtles look like that. So yeah, like all the different wallpapers I've seen of turtles on different platforms. Oh, that's so cool, chat. This is a turtle eating a squid. Over the Asian food, they'll serve squid. And it's actually pretty good, contrary to what you may think. And yeah, so that is the turtles right there. They're chilling. Right. And named for the green color of its internal fat, and its primary is herbious as an adult. Loggerhead, the loggerhead, known for its massive head and powerful jaws, which is used to crush hard-shelled prey like crabs. Okay, it's like their version of a hammerhead. So I think that makes sense because it needs to take different stuff out the shell. Okay, so you have that. Oh, that's so cool. You see, that's similar to Finding Nemo with the fish climbing on the back of the turtle. Okay. Calamari sounds way better than squid. Okay, and you loved it. Okay. Yeah, calamari it is. Yes. And yeah, the calamari is extremely delicious. Very good. Okay. I have two turtles in 250-gallon tanks, and they loved it. They love it. Oh, nice. Nice. And that is so cool that you take care of them. Definitely. All right, Kemp's Ridley, the rarest and most endangered sea turtle species. It is the smallest sea turtle and nests primarily in the single beach in Mexico. Oh, righty. Let's see this right here. And this thing is like the bro's all zoned out looking. He's like he's had enough drinks to sink a ship right there. Pine and apple. That is brilliant names. Brilliant names. I like that very much. Let's go this way. Okay, and floating down here. Okay, in the olive Ridley, a smaller size of Kemp Ridley, it is famous for its synchronized mass nesting events called the Erebatus. Okay, so let's copy this and put her here. Okay, that looks like a traditional turtle, a very green turtle. Very cool right there. Flatback, found only in the waters of Australia and nearby islands, it is named for its incredibly flatter shell. Yeah, and Passion is over there. All kinds of wild things down there in Australia. Okay, flatback turtle. And there you go. That's the flatback turtle underwater. All right, freshwater turtles. The red-eared slider, one of the most common pet turtles, easily identified by the red patches behind its eyes. Common snapping turtle, known for its large size, rugged shell, and power bite. It rarely leaves the water except to lay eggs. Okay, and all right, so let's see the red-eared slider. We're going to copy this and show y'all here. Another one to look at. Oh, that is so cute. That is so cute. I've seen little turtles like that in the aquariums. Like people have these aquariums and they have these cute little turtles in there. You know what I had? I actually had a another type of turtle. I didn't have a turtle, but I had a hermit crab. And the hermit crab is very similar and has its own Oh, Saw Girl. Okay, catch you later. Have a good dinner, and thank you for hanging out with us. All right. Take care. Thank you for coming. All right. All right. And a common snapping turtle, known for its large size, rugged shell, and powerful bite. It rarely leaves the water except to lay eggs. All right, and copy this, and let's show the chat here. Okay, so yeah, very. The aesthetic of this turtle is just magnificent. And this is a classic green turtle right here. All right, this is the snapping turtle. Snapping turtle looks buff. This snapping turtle works out, and he has like a dragon tail. That's another Bowser type turtle. Yeah, it looks. Bro looks fierce. I have to go pick up my son and make dinner. Thanks, Alien and chat fam. Okay, Lori. Thank you for coming, and uh, good luck with that. Uh, Peace. All right, and painted turtle features the bright, colorful marking on its skin and edges of its shell. All right, let's see this one right here. And this right here is this. All right, this is the painted turtle. Very mighty, indeed. And it looks so cute small. All right, there. Facts. Ah, the Galapagos turtle. Galapagos tortoise. All right. This one will be the largest living tortoise species, famous for incredible lifespan, expanding over 100 years. Okay, that is cool. Yes. They live over 100 years, and yeah, that's a big tortoise right there. Very cool. And that is his face right there. Okay, and finally, the gopher tortoise. Native to southeastern U.S., known for its digging deep burrows that provide homes for hundreds of other species. And now let's go this. All right, that's the gopher tortoise. Yeah, the bro is just chilling. He's like trying to look invisible, but everyone can see him. It's like there's cats at least, and maybe dogs too. They'll try to look as invisible as possible, and they will just kind of hide incognito. But everyone can see them. Everyone's like, "Oh, wow, where's the cat? Where's Bubbles? Where is he?" So that's what that turtle reminds you of. He's like, "I don't exist right now." All right, and so that is some tortoise and turtle fun facts for chat. Okay. All right. So explaining some unsolved mysteries for chat. We have some other parts. This will be some more unsolved mysteries and other conspiracies that are going on. Okay. So I mentioned this before, but just reiterate is that there is the. Okay, let's switch over to this window. By the way, the background of mine is the planet Serpo's suns. Right. Disappearance of Crystal Rizinger, a young mother who has vanished from the small, spiritually oriented town of Crestone, Colorado in 2016, the case remains a major focus of true crime documentaries in 2026, as investigators look into unsettling details surrounding local community and circumstances of her disappearance. The unexplained UAP case, 2004 Navy encounter. Despite various government reports released between 2023 and 2025, Pentagon still cannot explain specific 2004 Navy encounter. This case remains a cornerstone of modern unsolved mysteries because it is backed by radar data, pilot testimony, and official confirmation. Yet the nature of the craft remains unknown. And in this situation, chat, when something like this happens, you have to go, wait a minute. What is really going on here? When you have something in your face, like these UFOs that will just come out the water out of nowhere, they will float around in the sky and they do speeds and things that our technology, as far as we know, cannot do. It really raises some red flags. And before our modern technology, there were instances of these strange flying objects that were seen, all over the world, in the old world. So that to me is very intriguing. All right, the death of Dave Box, a pipe fitter who died inside a high security factory under mysterious circumstances. While some officials initially suggested self deletion suicide, his family maintains he was murdered to prevent him from leaking information about radioactive releases at the plant. His remains were found to be radioactive and they had been sent to Nevada for cipher storage. Yeah, very mysterious. A Vatican girl, Emanuela Orlandi. Italy's most famous cold case involves the 15-year-old girl who vanished in 1983. A 2019 attempt to find her remains in the Teutonic Cemetery only depend on mystery when the targeted tombs were found entirely empty. Very mysterious. Hello, Doe. Good evening to you. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate you very much. Doe, how are you today? I hope that you're doing well. All right. And the Amber Lynn Smith cold case, a young mother of two who vanished over 20 years ago. Her case reached a somber milestone in 2026 as her family continued to wait for answers. Despite being featured on local news outlets, KSAT 12, no definite clues have emerged regarding her location or what happened to her. Okay, let's see this. Good evening to you, Doe. Thank you for that. Oh, I am doing fine. I was watching some Mysterious Trials today, hung out with the chat. We've been having a funny time talking about dolphins taking people to underground bases to construct things. Yeah, we're stream. Everything's going fine. I need to get my back grass done, but it looks like a forest, basically. And well, I'm glad that you're doing well, and that is how I'm doing. I'm doing fine. The weather was really good today, and a cold front came in, so that was cool to see. All right, there's historical breakthrough in the Jack the Ripper case. And a significant development for Ripperologist historian Russell Edwards recently claimed a 100% DNA match that definitely identifies Jack the Ripper. The suspect, the identity is linked to Aaron Kosminski, a 23-year-old Polish barber who was prime suspect during the original 1888 investigation. Okay, so Yeah, so with reminds me of Sweeney Todd. There was this show. There's a Johnny Depp movie about Sweeney Todd, and yeah, meow, yeah. Shout out to that, the kitty cat. That cat was. You see, Bubbles the detective will figure out everything, right? And the evidence. So, uh, that's because that barber he would do that kind of stuff. So that must be basically it. Kind of gave Jack the scared Jack the Ripper vibes. Definitely gave Jack the Ripper vibes. The evidence: the DNA was extracted from a blood-stained shawl found in the scenes of the victim's Catherine Edwards murder. The match using mitochondrial DNA (mtDNA). Analysts research match samples from the shawl to direct descendants of both victims and Kosmonsky. I used to really like movie Sweeney Todd. I just don't watch many movies these days. Yeah, I don't really watch many movies either. I'm going to see the Alien Disclosure movies, the Alien movies that are coming out. That's what I'm interested in seeing. But besides that, I I'm not always into these other movies. A Demon Barber. Let's see the Sweeney Todd. Yeah, so the I'll explain the Sweeney Todd movie, but no, it was not a demon. The movie Sweeney Todd, it was about a barber that was deleting people, and the real Jack the Ripper was probably a barber himself. I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, I'll go in more detail. It's a musical, yeah. Okay, let's see. All right, so 2007, directed by Tim Burton, is a largely gothic musical based on Stephen Sondheim stage production. It follows a tragic tale of revenge, obsession, and murder in Victorian era London. Betrayal and exile. The proper protagonist, Benjamin Baker, played by Johnny Depp, is a skilled barber whose life is destroyed by the corrupt Judge Turpin Alan Rickman. Turpin, lusting after Barker's wife, Lucy, has Baker falsely impersonated in exile in Australia for 15 years. Return. Baker's escape and return to London under the Alice Sweeney Todd. He learns from his former landlady, Miss Lovett, that his wife reportedly poisoned herself, and his daughter, Johanna, is now in Turpin's ward. Right. So that is, and he goes into a descendant of madness. Yeah, and it is a musical, definitely. I remember I saw it in 2017. That is when I saw the movie. I really enjoyed it. It was in my senior year, and in literature class, the teacher played it, and I remember at the time, girl I was dating at the time, she would give very good at movie suggestions, and she was glad I was seeing that because although it was at school, she liked it. Yeah. and Mary Teresa Simpson, February 2026. The 1964 murder of a 12-year-old girl. Let's see. This has to do with our dude, Jack Ripper. Okay. So evidence. DNA was. So about Jack the Ripper. DNA was extracted from blood-stained shawl from the scene in the victim Catherine Edo's murder. The match. Using mitochondrial DNA and okay, read that. Controversy. Some forensic experts remain skeptical, noting that mitochondrial DNA is less precise than nuclear DNA, that the shawl was not preserved under strict forensic conditions for 137 years. All right. Recent cold case DNA breakthroughs. Modern DNA like technology like MVAC, wet vacuum for DNA, and private labs like Othram have solved several high-profile cases in the past year. The Bear Brook middle child, September 2025. The final unidentified victim of serial killer Terry Rasmussen was identified as Rhea Rasmussen, his biological daughter, after decades as a Jane Doe in New Hampshire. That is really messed up. He did it to his own kid. Well, all right. Mary Teresa Simpson. The 1964 murder of a 12-year-old girl in Emiria, New York, was declared solved through genetic genealogy, becoming one of the oldest cases ever resolved using these methods. The Yogurt Shop murders. Austin and famous 1991 quadruple homicide saw a major breakthrough when DNA and ballistics linked crime to deceased serial killers Robert Eugene Brashers. All right. John Lorton Doe, a 4-year-old boy found in Virginia Creek, 1972, was identified as Carl Matthew Bryant after his mother was exhumed to provide matching DNA sample. All right. 40-year-old NH skull. A man's skull found in the woods in 1986 was finally identified as Mr. Konchinsky after volunteering genetics developed a lead less than 24 hours. So we have this incredible fascination where you have people with our modern DNA. There's many serial killers and people that were murderers that are old now that are being finally discovered because of DNA. And I believe that is amazing that we're finally discovering who these people are. All right. A recent trial that I have been looking at is the Corey Richardson's murder trial, which began in late February 2026, centers on a mother and children's book author accused of fatally poisoning her husband, Eric Richards, in March 2022. March 12, 2026. Both prosecution and defense rested their cases after nearly 3 weeks of testimony. Now, some people believe that the prosecution has failed to prove their case. So we will see what the jury decides, and a lot of times a jury can be extremely unexpected. They could do things that we may not realize they do. The allegations, the motive. Prosecutors allege that Corey Richards, the lead, killed her husband for financial gain, seeking to collect over $2 million in life insurance policies to fund her house flipping business and settle millions in debt. They claim she first attempted to kill him on Valentine's Day 2022 with a fentanyl-laced sandwich and successfully poisoned him weeks later by slipping 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl into a Moscow Mule cocktail. Evidence and testimony. The state's case relied on testimony for nearly 40 witnesses, including a former housekeeper who claimed she procured fentanyl for Corey shortly before the death. Digital forensics played the key role with investigators highlighting suspicious text messages and memes found on Corey's phone, including one sent the morning after Eric's death that read, "Finally effing over." The children's book hook. A major element of the case's public notoriety that Corey wrote and self published a children's book on grief titled "Are You With Me?" In the year following Eric's death, she promoted the book on local television, appearing as Grieving Widow and Mother of Three, a movie precur- uh, prosecutors described as a facade to mask her involvement in his murder. Defense argument. Corey's defense team argued that Eric Richins had a history of chronic pain and substance use, suggesting he may have accidentally overdosed on illicit drugs he obtained himself. They emphasized that no fentanyl was found during searches of the couple's home and challenged the credibility of the state's witness, particularly the housekeeper. Current trial status. The trial concluded its evidentiary phase on March 12, Corey Richins waiving her right to testify. Jury Judge Mrazek dismissed the jury for the weekend, and they are scheduled to return Monday morning on March 16, 2026. All right, so that is Corey Richardson's trial. Another one that I have been looking into is the Florida versus Cole Goldberg. Concluded on March 12, 2026, with not guilty verdict on all counts. The incident. The allegations. The trial centered on an incident from April 24, 2022, during the annual Boca Bash boat party in Lake Blanca, Florida. Cole Goldberg was accused of attempting to murder his then girlfriend, Carolina Schwinsinski, a talent agent who appeared on the reality show 90 Day Finance Happily Ever After. Shout out to Mary Toodles. Prosecutors alleged that after a heated argument on a boat, Goldberg aggressively tried to prevent Schwinsinski from leaving, eventually following her into the water, where he reportedly held her underwater by throat. Trial proceedings and charges. Goldberg faced charges of attempted second-degree murder and battery. He famously rejected a plea that would have required only 6 months in jail, choosing instead to fight the felony charges in bench trial, meaning the judge, John Parnofilio, decided the verdict rather than a jury. The trial lasted 4 days in a West Palm Beach courtroom and was live streamed by major true crime networks like Court TV and Law and Crime. All right, victims and witnesses. Testimony. During the trial, Schwinsinski testified that she truly believed that she was going to die during the struggle underwater. Several eyewitnesses from nearby boats also testified that the state. One witness, Matthew Paris, claimed he saw Goldberg deliberately push Schwinsinski underwater and had jumped into a lake himself to intervene and pull her to safety. These witnesses described Goldberg as appearing enraged and acting with intent. Defense strategy and Goldberg's stand. The defense argued that the situation was chaotic accident fueled by alcohol, and Goldberg was actually trying to help Shawinski stay afloat. Goldberg took the stand in his own defense on March 11, 2026, testifying that he loved Shawinski and never intended to hurt her, describing himself as confused by the incident. The defense also attacked Shawinski's credibility, pointing to the inconsistencies in her story, suggesting she used Goldberg for money and fame. There's an incident with. There's different information that's coming out all over the place and different cases. And it seems that with, say, Ted Bundy, for instance, there's an different from this case. His girlfriend fell off a boat, and he pushed her head underwater. And he was saying he was joking, but he was just being weird. He was being evil. So that definitely is. So that's what this reminds me of. But he was found innocent, so he's innocent. Verdict aftermath. On March 12, 2026, which happened to be Goldberg's 27th birthday, Judge Parnofilio acquitted him of all charges. The judge's ruling suggested the state had not met its burden of proof to show that Goldberg intended to kill Shawinski. Following the verdict, Goldberg was seen collaborating with his attorney and family in court. While the decision sparked polarized reactions among public following cases online. In the insulin mystery trial, which I told y'all about today, earlier, what happened today, giving you all like a summary about what that trial is about in general. Right. Well, several insulin mystery cases have made headlines. The Utah Megan Sunwall. All right. Former registered nurse Megan Sunwall is on trial in the Provo, Utah, for aggravated murder of her 38-year-old friend and former roommate, Casey Lynn Terry, who died from a fatal insulin overdose on August 12, 2024. Prosecutors allege Sunwall spent 4 years using her medical knowledge to manipulate Terry into believing she had terminal cancer. Despite Terry being healthy and non-diabetic, the state contends that Sunwall's motive was rumored $1.5 million life insurance policy. She believed she would inherit, though it was later discovered the policy never actually existed. The day of the incident. On the day of Terry was found unresponsive, emergency responders discovered a diabetic needle at the scene, which was immediately suspicious because Terry had no history of diabetes. Prosecutors claimed Sunwall sat with Terry for several hours without calling 911. After Terry stopped responding when paramedics finally arrived, Sunwall allegedly claimed that Terry had a do not resuscitate order, which investigators later determined was false. All right, evidence and testimony. The prosecution's case relies heavily on massive digital footprints, including over 28,000 text messages between two women spanning for 4 years. These messages reportedly showed Sunwall detailing different ways Terry could end her life. Sunwall offering to assist her testimony from Terry's family. Also revealed disturbing dynamic where Terry appeared afraid of upsetting Sunwall and had once complained about Sunwall being insulin home from her hospital workplace. This case is very strange, by the way. It's more questions than answers. Fence argument. So the fence team does not dispute that she was present at Terry's home, but maintains that Terry took her own life. They argue that the text messages show a different story, that Terry herself feigned illness to gain sympathy, ultimately decide to commit suicide. The defense further points out that Sunwell DNA was excluded from the syringes collected as evidence, and they are pushing for jurors to consider assisted suicide of lesser charge. Okay. Current status and impact. The trial, which began in March 2026, has drawn significant attention due to extreme level of alleged psychological manipulation and misuse of professional medical knowledge. If convicted of aggravated murder, Sunwell faces 25 years to life in prison, with prosecutors also potentially pursuing the death penalty. This case follows other high-profile insulin trials, such as 2025 conviction of Sarah Hartsfield in Texas. Okay, and so that is about the insulin trial. So we talked about the insulin trial, Cora Richardson, and the Evoke trial. So you have those three are the ones that I have been looking into. Some very intriguing cases. Okay, so those are tortoises. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of go. All right, so going to go this way. All right, going to talk about two other cases that we don't really hear a lot about recently. Going down here. All right, so I talked about Crystal Risinger. Going to get more detail about that, about this case. What you say, Alien? What is that case about? I'll explain. She was a 29-year-old mother who disappeared from the small spiritual community of Crestone, Colorado. In 2016, seeking a fresh start and spiritual enlightenment, she had moved from Denver to the mountain town, leaving her young daughter in the care of her ex boyfriend, Elijah Guana. Despite her move, she maintained daily contact with family until July 13, 2016. Well, she suddenly went silent. Her landlord eventually reported her missing after failed to pay rent, leading to discovery of deep into mystery. When investigators entered Reisinger's apartment, they found no evidence of a struggle, but they did find all her personal belongings, including her cell phone, computer, and medication. Even more telling was the presence of fresh groceries such as veggie burgers and almond milk, purchased just before she vanished. These term items suggested she had no intention of leaving, yet she was gone without a trace. Well, some locals reported seeing her at a full moon drum circle. On July 18, these accounts remain unconfirmed, and July 13 remains the last officially verified date of contact. The case eventually shifted from missing person investigation to suspect homicide as dark details surfaced in her final days. Risinger reportedly told her ex-boyfriend that she had been drugged and raped at a local party. This led to a theory that she was murdered to prevent her from reporting the assaults to the police. Suspicion centered on several local men tied to the town's drug scene, specifically a man known as Catfish John, whose home was allegedly gutted and bleached shortly after her disappearance. Despite national attention from the podcast upon Vanish, no remains have been found and no arrests have been made. Authorities have searched over 60 mine shafts in the rugged terrain surrounding Creststone following tips, and her body may have been discarded. Their recent efforts in August 2025 involved human remains detections at a specific location in Creststone, but no definitive breakthroughs were announced. The Saguache County Sheriff's Office continues to believe the members of the community hold the key to solving the case. Today, Crystal Risinger's case remains one of Colorado's most haunting mysteries. Her daughter, Kasha, who was only 4 at the time disappearance, continues to ask for her mother, and 20 grand reward remaining active for information leading to the conviction. While passage from time has made investigation more difficult, Colorado Bureau of Investigation and law enforcement remain committed to finding the answers and bringing justice to a woman who simply went looking for peace. All right, so that is a unsolved mystery in recent times. All right, and we're going to do this one here. Jason Sweeney was a 16-year-old construction worker from Fishtown, Philadelphia, who was brutally murdered by a group of his peers in May 30, 2003. One evening, his death, he had just received $500 in a paycheck and was lured to a wooded area known as the Trial of Tears by 15-year-old Just Justina Morelli, a girl he had been dating for just a few weeks. Morelli had promised him sex that was actually leading him into an ambush where three other teenagers were lying in wait. The attackers included Jason's best friend since fourth grade, 16-year-old Edward Batzig Jr., along with two brothers, 17-year-old Dominic and 16-year-old Nicholas Kowai. Once at the site, the group attacked Jason with a hatchet and a hammer and a rock, beating him so severely that his head was crushed and he had been identified by a cut on his hand from his job. After killing the four teenagers, shared a group hug and split Jason's $500 paycheck to buy drugs, including heroin and Xanax. Very disturbing and creepy indeed. Very disturbing. The case gained national attention due to extreme brutality and disturbing details of its planning. Investigators discovered that the group had listened to Beatles' song Helter Skelter over 40 times to pump themselves up for the murder. That's what the Manson family used to. Drawing parallels to the Manson family during the trial, jailhouse letters from Morley revealed chilling lack of remorse. She described herself as a death worshipping biatch who enjoyed the flashbacks of the crime. The legal proceedings resulted in significant sentences for all four involved. Kowai brothers Badzig were convicted of first degree murder and sentencing to life without parole. In 2005, Justina Morelli pleaded guilty to third degree murder in exchange for her testimony and received the sentence of 17.5 to 35 years. Years following the Supreme Court's ruling in Miller versus Alabama regarding the juvenile life sentences led to resentencing hearings for Badzig and Nicholas Kowai through their life sentences were ultimately upheld. So those are two mystery cases in our time. Not really like recently, but there's recent developments in those cases. Okay, and going to another case. Well, let's just see. Nancy Guthrie. Let's see any updates about that. Let's generate that. Why is the screen black? I don't think the screen's black now. Um, does it still look like that, Moki? It seems on my end it's generating a screen that's off that. Okay, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I had a window moved around for a second. Okay, Moki. Uh, thanks. Thanks for the heads up. Okay. All right, so let's just see some updates on Nancy Guthrie's disappearance. All right. So Nancy Guthrie, 84-year-old, on today's show, Savannah Guthrie was reportedly abducted from her Tuscan, Arizona home the night of January 31, 2026. Yeah, it was just Moki and the reality distortion field getting in the way of the screen. Yeah. Scared. Looking, I'm like, I'm looking at this screen on the bottom, which is projecting what y'all see, and it looks like I see the Serpo landscape. Well, maybe for a second I had the latch on my window on my spaceship for a second, or maybe you did that, and you had that latch on for a second. We had to open it up so you could see the nice sunset of Serpo. Yeah, so there we found the culprit. Okay, so she was last seen being dropped off at dinner with family approximately 9:50 p.m. Investigators believe she was taken against her will in early morning hours of February 1 after her doorbell camera was manually disconnected at 1:47 a.m. Peacemaker stopped syncing with her devices at 2:28 a.m. Evidence at the scene has pointed to the targeted kidnapping rather than a random act. Authorities discovered drops of blood on the front porch inside the home and matched Nancy's DNA. Though there was no signs of a struggle, surveillance footage from her doorstep later recovered by FBI showed Oh, thank you, Moki. Thank you. Yeah, I let's see, because you sent it. You sent it today. It should be there. Yeah, because you did send me that before. You did, and I have it. Seeing if there's anything really, because I did see them already, but I was seeing if there's something really recent that you sent me. So the past ones was about the moon landing and about the aircraft jets, but I did see the ones about the missing general, which we will talk about too. And thank you for saying that to me. All right, so with Nancy Guthrie's case, the investigation has seen several technical and forensic developments in recent weeks. Discoveries are currently investigating a damaged utility book near the home that may be linked to the internet outage reported at the time of the abduction, potentially used to disrupt local security cameras. Additionally, while a pair of gloves found 2 miles away initially drew interest, the DNA testing eventually traced them back to an unrelated restaurant worker. Plymouth County Sheriff Chris Nanos recently stated that investigators definitely closer to solving the case through, though he has not shared public breakthroughs. Now, public interest in this case, in a moment we're going to talk about the general that's missing. Public interest has remained high due to high profile of family and massive 1.1 million reward. 1 million from the family and 100,000 from the FBI. Information leading to her recovery, Savannah Guthrie briefly returned to Today's Show studios on March 5. To thank her colleagues, but has not seen set a formal date to her return. All right, and so far she is still missing. Okay, and yeah, William McCasland. Okay, let's do this. Let's see. So there is William Neil McCasland. He allegedly did things with Area 51, and he was someone that knew about the extraterrestrials and the technology of North Korea and Iran being used by that their technology and influence are from the aliens, of apparently. So that one, so we've talked about, and these are some updates about that case. So as of March 12, 2026, the retired Air Force General Neil McCaslin remains missing nearly 2 weeks after he vanished. What? Oh yeah, you did. That's true. You and Moki both did. Thank you. From his Albuquerque home on February 27th. The investigation has intensified with FBI officials joining the Barnello County Sheriff's Office (BCSO) to leverage federal forensic tools and resources. New evidence found search teams discovered gray U.S. Air Force sweatshirt and the Sandia foothills, while it has not been definitively confirmed as his prominent, more concentrated search efforts in the specific area. Timeline clarification. On March 12, the Bernalillo County Sheriff's Office released a tighter timeline. The Castlin reported interacted with repairman in his home around 10 a.m. on the day he disappeared. His wife returned at 12:04 p.m. to find him gone, and he was officially reported missing at 3:07 p.m. Missing items. The investigators confirmed that the Castlin left with his phone and glasses, but he is believed to have been hiking. Boots, 38 caliber revolver with him. Family stated that they are still searching. He did. Not necessarily, but it could be. All right, so this is what it says. Investigators confirmed that McCasland left without his phone and glasses, but he's believed to have his hiking boots and his 38 caliber revolver with him. Despite his authorities maintaining there is no current evidence of foul play. All right. All right, so this is more about the how the search is going with McCasland. The search for retired Major General William Neil McCasland has shifted its primarily focus on Sandia Mountains and foothills, specifically the rugged terrain near Alina Galgos open space. This area is popular with hikers and bikers, but its steep arroyos and dense brush make it difficult to clear thoroughly. Teams from New Mexico Search Rescue have been deployed in Pino Trail and Bear Canyon areas, where McCasland was known to frequent during his routine exercise outings. The first weeks on March 2026, search operations were intensified at the Qual Run and Tramway Boulevard intersections. This followed a confirmed sighting from neighbor's doorbell camera showing a figure matching McCasland's description walking toward the mountain trailheads at approximately 11:15 a.m. on the day he vanished. Since then, specialized K9 units trained in human remains detection and trailing have been utilized along the lower La Luz Trail, though high winds and the high desert environment have hindered scent tracking. A significant point of interest for investigators is the Ebudito trailhead, located just south of his neighborhood. This location has become a staging ground for Berlalio County Sheriff's Office, BCSO, and the FBI, as it offers multiple paths to into deeper, more remote wilderness. Authorities have urged any hiker who were on the Whitewash Trail on the Manzano Mountains outskirts between February 27 and March 1 to review their personal GoPro or smartphone. Footage for any background sightings of a man in a light green shirt is recommended. Okay. The search has also expanded into Kibolia National Forest as investigators consider the possibility that McCasland may have traveled further than initially expected because he left without his cell phone. Very mysterious. All this is very, very mysterious. There is no GPS data or ping to narrow search radius, forcing teams to rely on physical clues and footprints or discard items, and ground crews are currently performing grind searches in Ebedito Canyon. Okay, Moki. Good night to you. Thank you for coming. Okay, thank you, Mary Tools. And the search also has expanded into the Kabolia National Forest as investigators consider the possibilities the Klassen may have traveled further initially expected because he left without the cell phone. There is no GPS data or ping to narrow the search radius, forcing teams to rely on physical clues like footprints to discard the items. Ground crews are currently performing the grind searches, task made more urgent by fluctuating the spring temperatures that pose a risk to anyone exposed to the elements for extended periods. Despite the heavy presence of law enforcement, the volunteers, these trailheads, and a lack of findings has led growing frustration within the Albuquerque community. The FBI is currently analyzing the satellite imagery and high altitude drone footage of the Sandia crest to look for anomalies in the brush as today, and the Gallegos area remains highest priority zone. Officials are asking the public to stay clear of active search grinds to avoid contaminating potential evidence or scent trails. All right, so that is the one who is missing. Okay, and let's go to the other one. Let's see. All right, this one will be about Epstein's accountant. Let's talk about this. That here. All right, the Jeffrey Epstein accountant, Richard Richard Kahn. Okay, let's go this way, and let's put it like this. On over. Alrighty, so let's go. Right, Richard Kahn, the longtime accountant and co-executor of the Jeffrey Epstein estate, completed a significant 6-hour closed-door deposition before House Oversight Committee on Wednesday, March 11, 2026. The testimony is part of an ongoing congressional probe into the complex financial infrastructure that enabled Epstein's decades-long sex trafficking ring. Claims of ignorance. In this opening statement, Kahn maintained that his relationship with Epstein was strictly on professional level, that he was entirely unaware of the terrible and unforgivable things Epstein did to women and girls. He testified that Epstein's monetary gifts to both men and women were never raised red flags and appeared to be standard practice for the ultra wealthy. Key financial figures names. Under the questioning from Chairman James Horner, Republican Kentucky, Kahn identified the 5 major individuals who paid significant fees to Epstein, fueling his nearly $1 billion fortune. Les Wexner and Gled Dubin. Stevenson Ofiski, the Rothschild family, and Leon Black. See? See? The committee has already deposed Wexner and plans to depose Black in the near future. Trump and other high-profile ties. Kahn testifies under oath that he never saw any financial transactions involving Donald Trump or his family. However, Democratic lawmakers noted that Kahn's testimony confirmed that Epstein estate had previously provided settlements to individuals who also made accusations against Trump. Kahn also detailed Epstein's financial ties to former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. So we have the Rothschild connection and the Israel connection now confirmed. Okay. Admissions of facilitation. Despite his claims of ignorance regarding the abuse, ranking members Robert Garcia de California stated that Kahn admitted to impersonating Epstein in communications with banks and helping facilitate the fake marriages between the 2 women connected in trafficking. Garcia argued it was not credible that a man is so deeply involved in Epstein's operations had no knowledge of his activities. All right. Khan expressed deep regret during the session, stating, "It pains me." It says before that, next step is the probe. The committee's investigation continues to expand with over 40,000 documents reviewed from JP Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank. Future witnesses scheduled for testimony may include Epstein's former attorney, Darren Eindyke, on March 19, as well as potential interviews with Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. All right. Khan expressed deep regret during the session, stating, "It pains me to think that I may have unknowingly assisted Epstein anyway." The House Oversight Committee expects to release the full recordings of the transcript deposition in the coming weeks. All right, so that is the Epstein probe, and let's do this. The FBI spreadsheet is highly controversial. So this is about the FBI spreadsheet regarding Epstein. All right, the ROG spreadsheet is a highly controversial internal document that surfaced during the recent congressional investigations into Jeffrey Epstein's case and related financial networks. The term DROG is short for derogatory information, and the spreadsheet reportedly serves as a centralized database for damaging or incriminating evidence gathered against the high profile individuals linked to Epstein's operations. According to the whistleblowers and recent testimony before the House Oversight Committee, the document contains names, specific dates of travel to Epstein's private island, and detail financial transactions that suggest potential blackmail or complicity. The existence of these spreadsheets was highly highlighted during the March 2026 deposition of Richard Kahn, longtime accountant. While Kahn claimed limited knowledge of database creation, investigators have used it to cross-reference his testimony regarding payments made to various consultants and associates. Documents report lists over 150 individuals ranging from billionaires to business moguls to former heads of state, characterized by the level of exposure or derogatory material the FBI has on file. This has led to intense public pressure from the DOJ to release the full list of ensure transparency and accountability. One of the most explosive aspects of the Durog spreadsheet includes digital forensic data from Epstein-sized servers in Palm Beach, allegedly linked specific wire transfers to the arrival of underage victims, and various proponents provided a roadmap for potential sex trafficking charges. Yeah, yet to be filed. Recent weeks of House jury committee has issued the subpoenas specifically targeting the origins of this document. They are seeking to determine which FBI field offices handled the Drogue data, which whether any entries were scrubbed or altered during the transition between presidential administrations. Our spreadsheet also reportedly contains note surveillance footage captured at Epstein's New York townhouse, which may identify guests who were previously unknown to the public. This has made the document a focal point for those seeking understanding full scope of Epstein's influence peddling machine. The FBI has resisted making the spreadsheet public, citing ongoing investigations and privacy of individuals who may believe listed but not charged. Speculation in the media capital widely seen as the major front for Epstein's investigation. Let's see this. Yeah, and I'm glad all this stuff is coming out because people got to understand that it's very important and classified information that is coming out, and it's important to to expose these things. So I'm glad that this was done. All right, let's say yes. And let's see any other mysteries to talk about in here or some kind of case. Anyway, let's just go here. Now I want to know. So those are the cases. Those are the unsolved cases and things about Richard Kahn. Now I want to see if there's any video of this. Curiosity. I don't really see. This is not the. Well, whenever they come out with the video, I will be glad to show it. Right, this is what one of the politicians is going to ask the accountant. Let's do this. All right, so let's switch over to this window. Although whenever they come out with a video, I'll show y'all. Okay. Shout out to Turtles. Okay, so now we're gonna go here. All right, this is what he was gonna ask Epstein in his deposition. In the deposition. Okay, let's go here. Turn this up, and here we go.
Help set some cameras up on Epstein Island, Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, we want to ask about that because we haven't been able to. There's no evidence that's emerged with video. Everyone suspects there's video, but thus far there's no video and no trace of where cameras were at any of the properties. Now, I think everyone knows they're in New Mexico now. That property has traded hands, but I don't think the grounds of the property in New Mexico have been searched before. I talked about that last night on Jesse Waters, so I'm glad New Mexico authorities are there now. I don't think that we can conclude an investigation without thoroughly searching that property because there are a lot of suspicions and theories about what may or may not have happened on that property in New Mexico.
Chairman, do you think this deposition could lead to other investigations and depositions of people involved?
Well, it could. Every deposition we've had thus far has led to more depositions and more witnesses coming.
Yeah, when you have something that's leading to more depositions, more witnesses, it's just kind of like a rabbit hole that just keeps on going down. Yeah. So I'm glad that they're trying to come to the bottom of all this stuff, of course.
But I think you go back to what Bill Barr said and what Alex Acosta said. They were probably the first two that we brought in for interviews, and they said that they wanted to prosecute more people, but the evidence wasn't there. We're working with the victims, and a lot of the victims aren't talking. I think everyone knows this because a lot of them have already received some type of settlement. So that's going to be some of the questions, and we'll see if he can talk about that. Obviously, NDAC coming in next week, so we've got the accountant and the lawyer coming in both coming in over the next week. So we have a lot of questions that we're going to ask both of them about settlements and any other type of knowledge they knew about Epstein.
Do you have an update on the timing of Pam Bogi's deposition or when Howard Lutnick is going to come in?
Well, hopefully very soon. So I'm in communication with them. We're trying to get them in very, very soon.
Like next few weeks?
I would hope so.
You have depositions scheduled into early summer, like I believe into June. How long, as you said, you're continuously adding more and more depositions. So how long do you envision this taking? How long do you think it's going to last? Can you finish it by the end of this Congress?
Well, that's our goal, and I certainly hope so. I hope it's before the end of the Congress. But as we all see, anytime more documents are released or more testimonies given, it seems like more cans of worms are open. So we're doing our best. I think we're being very effective. And look, we're seeing accountability. There are over a dozen people that have resigned from prestigious boards because of their affiliation with Epstein. No one would have known about.
Yeah, exactly, because there's people that are high positions of power and influence that knew about Epstein or knew him or associate with him that are stepping down. So that is good to see a domino effect of more people stepping down, because this syndicate, this global clique, it's been around for, I think, centuries. Definitely. They have always done this, and now they're being exposed all these years later, and they're just going to be dropping like flies. So that is definitely true.
This prior to our investigation, I think this investigation is the first very thorough investigation that's been done on Epstein. One part of the majority of the members' criticism is that it doesn't look like the government did a very good job investigating Epstein. So we're trying to put all the pieces together and take information from the various districts. You had Virgin Islands doing investigations, you had New Mexico, you had Southern District of New York, you had Florida. I don't know how well they all communicated together, but we're trying to piece it together, and we'll get you answers, and hopefully I'll be able to come back out here after the deposition and give you some more answers. So thank you all.
Okay, so paste and go here. And this other one I'm going to show has to do with alleged ETs on the moon. All right, so this one is some. This is an alien conspiracy theory, but oh, this other clip will have to do with alleged aliens on the moon. So let's go here. Or somebody had an account of that. Okay. Shout out to the spaceship cats. Really cool. Okay.
Moon base. So there is a moon base. It's hollow. Yeah. It's an artificial structure. It's come from another part of the galaxy, transporting other ET races here. We flew there. Now, the transportation was interesting at the time. We were catapulted it's like a tube, and there was no propulsion. We were slingshotted from the gravity of Earth to the gravity of the moon. We hooked it and then came in. We landed on the far side of the moon. We came into a base where the doors opened. We went.
There are theories that the moon, there is secret bases allegedly that we're not being told about. There's theories about some aliens on the moon, things of that nature. So these things I think are. This is from a parent Navy SEAL that said this, so it is certainly be interesting if it is true. So I do believe there are, ETs out there in bases and things they're not telling us about, in my opinion.
Went inside. Now, once we're inside, that's when things got interesting. That's when we started to have our integration. Now, we'd already had a little bit of integration with little grays. Little grays had come in. We'd learned more telepathy from them, some other skills that they taught us, how to work with looking glass technology and so forth. Now we're actually going to work with big grays, the large grays.
Yeah, the grays, definitely, that's only consistent within these theories about people think they're time travelers or fallen watchers. So the Bible talks about these watchers that were supposed to help us, but instead they rebelled against God and showed us things we weren't supposed to see. So yeah, definitely this part goes with the other stories about them, the gray aliens.
So the large grays are, I look at the little grays as basically being cloned little slaves, unfortunately. And they basically do whatever they're told to do. The large grays are thinkers. They're the ones that are proactive, have free will, like we have free will, and they're working with us. So they were kind of standoffish to us because, we're not advanced, and that's the way it was. Really all the different ETs that we saw in there, and I saw many different types. They usually had their own areas inside there. We had our own area. There's large cities inside the moon and different size cities throughout the moon. Well, I remember actually going to...
All right, so chat, it's up to you what you think, if it's accurate or not, but that is an account of what bases and different things in the ground on the moon. And so we're just going to go to the spaceship cat window. Yeah, and let's see. Got that. So whenever they come out with the deposition of Khan, I'll be glad to react that with y'all. Okay, and going to this part right here. Let's see. Anything else on the list? Rabbit holes, whatever. It's all good. It's all good. Just rabbit holes. Oh, okay. Okay. All right. I think that will be all for tonight. Okay, so we went through all the different topics. Okay. Good. Okay, everybody. I don't know if I'm doing another live later on. I don't know about trials or something, but yeah, I don't know if I am or not, but I could. All right, so at this point, we've completed all the topics, and there doesn't seem to be anything else. Oh, there's somebody there. Oh, there is Shell. Okay. Hello, Shell. Good to see you. Welcome to the stream. And what we did tonight was we were reacting to some of the what? Okay. Yes. Yes. Okay. So we were reacting to some of the. You stopped back to say, "Hey, okay, thank you." Well, thank you for telling me hi. I'm about to end this stream because I finished the topics. Yeah, we talked about trials and some unsolved mysteries and Epstein, some alien stuff, and things with dolphins too. So we had quite an interesting stream. So thank you, Shell, for coming by and telling us hello. All right. So okay, everybody, thank you all for coming, and have a good evening, good day, afternoon, wherever you are, and peace.